everybody, welcome to my kitchen. Today you're watching Farm to Fork. My name is Chef Connie Powers. I'm going to take you on a Farm to Fork tour to a small town in Zephyr, Ontario, near Uxbridge, Ontario. We're going on Cooper's CSA farm. It's co-owned and co-operated by Lisa and Steve Cooper. There we're going to go on a tour with Lisa, and she's going to show us the animals that they raise, the crops that they grow, and then finally a farm store that makes ready-made meals in the kitchen on the site. There I picked up some ready-made brisket. We brought it home and it was the best brisket I'd ever had. I even sent an email to Lisa and said, all right, that was the best brisket I've ever had. I talked to her about how she does it. We're going to replicate that today. So we brought home a brisket, which the brisket is known as the primal cut. It is the pectoral muscle of the cow. So there are two cuts. There's a first cut and there's a point cut. Today we have a point cut. It's not the most expensive cut. It's not even the most desirable cut, but it's also become a little bit more trendy and a little bit more expensive, but it is called a feast food. And that's because you can, you put it in the oven, you braise it, you just make some vegetables and some mashed potatoes and you've got a delicious meal. So if you look at this point cut, you'll see that this has a little bit more fat. I find that more desirable to cook with because it won't dry out. If you know your butcher well, you can have them slice off some of the fat, but keep some of it because it gives you good flavor. So let's get started. The first thing you want to do is get yourself a cast iron roasting pan, a Dutch oven. So we're going to put some heat on that, and I've let this brisket, now this is about, this is maybe about 5 pounds, and the way that you look at it is about half a pound per guest, per person in the family. So we could serve 8 to 10 people, and anyway, it's great for leftovers. So I'm going to pat it dry because what we want to do is make a nice crust on that in our cast iron Dutch oven. We're going to pat it dry and season it. So it is at room temperature, and it has been sitting out on the cupboard for about 20 minutes, so it's just perfect like that. And we're going to rub some salt and pepper on it. This is kosher salt, so you can be generous with it. So I've got my Dutch oven getting hot. We're going to put some olive oil in it. That's all we're going to do to braise it. And we're going to braise it on each side for about 6 minutes. Okay. All right, in your heated Dutch oven, you're going to put 4 or 5 tablespoons of good olive oil, and then you're going to put it fat side down, and that makes sense. You want the fat side to sear first. Don't shortchange this. 6 minutes each side. Now, if your oil is hot enough, you should hear the and we did. We're going to let that sear for 6 minutes, and then we're going to turn it over and let it brown on the other side. We're going to go for a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. My name is Chef Connie Powers, and you're watching Farm to Fork. Today, we are taking you on a Farm to Fork tour of Cooper's CSA farm in Zephyr, Ontario, and we're cooking a brisket. So we brought a brisket home. We've just seasoned it, and we've now braised it on the one side. We're going to turn it over. That was 6 minutes, and we're going to braise the other side for 6 minutes. All right, you can see the nice crust we got on that side. We flipped it over, and now we're going to braise the other side for 6 minutes. Again, don't feel the need to move it, to do anything with it, you can put the lid on it so that you don't have a lot of mess going into your kitchen. Braise that for 6 more minutes. So the second side has been browned for 6 minutes, and we're going to remove it and put it on a plate. Remove it, let it sit, let it settle, and then we're going to start adding aromatics to the cast iron Dutch oven. First thing you're going to do is you're going to add in 4 cloves of garlic. Now, if you have your garlic on a cutting board, add a little bit of salt to it and it gives it some grip. So the oils, now if you feel like you've got too much oil in your pot, you can remove it. I'm going to leave it because I feel like it gives it a lot of flavor. We're going to cut up our 4 cloves of garlic. Keep in mind, the smaller you cut the garlic, the more flavor that is released. So if you want lots of garlic flavor, mince it very, very small. I think that's about enough. So I'm going to add my 4 cloves of garlic into the Dutch oven. The heat is off, but you can hear that a little bit of it is going to still be hot. Oh, by the way, set your oven to 325. We're going to add in 1 tablespoon of whole grain mustard, 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, let the tomato paste hit the bottom so that it cooks a little bit. Give the tomato paste a little bit of time to cook off the acid. All right, let's stir that around. So what I have right now is my oven set to 325. We've braised the brisket on both sides for 6 minutes, so it's got a very nice crust on it. And now we've got 4 cloves of minced garlic, 1 tablespoon of mustard, whole mustard seed, and 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. And now we're going to add in 1.5 cups of red wine. Now, if you prefer not to use the red wine, you could use a little bit of stock and cider vinegar mixed, and that would be equivalent to the red wine. All right, so we're going to let that all heat up, and then we're going to start putting in our seasoning. We're going to put in a thyme bundle. You could put in loose thyme. I like to bundle it so that I can remove it after. We're going to put in a thyme bundle. I'm going to get the heat going a little bit. We're going to put in 2 teaspoons of oregano, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of paprika, and 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. So let's go over what we did. We took the brisket and we browned it on both sides for 6 minutes. We removed the brisket and then we added 4 cloves of garlic and we added some mustard. We added some tomato paste and then our spices. We're going to add a little bit, remember, layer your seasoning. We're going to add a little bit of salt and pepper at this point. Just gives it a nice layer of flavor. Okay, with no heat now because everything has mellowed together, you're going to put in about a quart of tomatoes. It has to be pureed tomatoes. You can use passata. This is a quart of my home canned tomatoes. So add that quart of tomatoes, stir that all together, and it's as simple as that. We're going to now return the brisket. So you're going to get the brisket and put it into the cast iron pot. Make sure that we got some of that, all of that delicious juice covering it. So this is a slow and low braising method, which means you're going to put this into your oven now at 325, and you're going to cook it for 2 to 2.5 hours. You're going to take it out, and that's when you could add carrots, you could add potatoes in it if you wanted to, you could add mushrooms, then you're going to put it back in for another 2 hours. So total, this size brisket you want 4 to 4.5 hours, or until the internal temperature reaches 200. Now, before we put that into the oven, we do want to add some onions. And did you notice that we didn't saute the onions? We didn't brown the onions. We only put them in now. And I'm going to just quarter the onions. I'm not putting them, I'm not chopping them. Just going to place those around the edge. You can put 2 to 3 onions in this size, and this is just another aromatic that's going to give it a delicious flavor as it roasts. We're going to place the cover on the Dutch oven, and we're going to put this into the oven for the first 2 to 2.5 hours, and then we're going to check it. Right now, I'm going to clean up my kitchen. We're going to take you to Cooper's CSA farm and show you the tour. When we come back, we have made a brisket earlier, and I'm going to show you how to slice it. Let's go see what Lisa and Steve have to show us. Hey everybody, welcome to our series Farm to Fork. We're here at 266 Ashworth Road in Zephyr, near Uxbridge, Ontario. We're at the Cooper CSA farm, and we're about to meet Lisa and Steve Cooper. This is Lisa Cooper, who is co-owner and co-operator of this farm. She's going to take us on a tour, and she's going to show you how diversified this farm is. You'd prefer to use the wind tunnel and irrigate on your own?
Yep, that's what we do. You see all the drip irrigation there. It's planted in with the plastic. The black plastic is a biodegradable plastic, so we don't even have to do anything with it. It just stays there and breaks up over the season.
Oh.
It's made up of a corn product.
That's amazing. So it's actually composted.
Yep. And what that does also is create heat, helps as a bug deterrent, and keeps the moisture in.
So herbicide, pesticide, that's not something that needs to be used when you're using all of those
generally
regenerative,
no.
Sustainable things.
Generally, no. Anyway, these are our overwintered strawberries. These are this year's planting. These are overwintered.
So I see that they're already bearing fruit.
Yes, yeah, I can see some red over there.
You've got produce CSA, and you've got meat box. Yeah. And you also have things from the kitchen, so you've got preserves and jams.
Yeah.
Does that go into your CSA box as well?
Yep. If people, we give them the option to create their vegetable share box or their meat share box, and we give them the options to order extra things on top of those. And the meat's either beef, pork, or chicken, a mix of the three, or only one, depending on what people like. And then the fruits and vegetables go into obviously the CSA veg share. And then we add on eggs as well. And then we offer things that we create through our farm kitchen. See, this is what bugs will do to strawberries.
Okay, let's see. Oh, I've seen that on my own little strawberry patch.
Yep.
What exactly, so that's still edible?
It's still edible, yep. But this is very early stages and very light. Sometimes the whole thing will just be a giant crust of seed. So really you can take and then the rest of it's garbage.
Yeah. Well, there's one over here that the sun must be hitting this side. And
finding the nice one there.
And nobody has bit this. I'm the first biter.
There you go.
I eat husk and all is good. So you've got some trained professional farmers here. This isn't
That would be Steve.
Yes, this is not just a generational knowledge passed down. So there is education.
Of course.
Yes.
Steve has had. I've had some education. Steve actually went to agricultural college specifically for. Field crop production. So he did, he learned about how to spray. There's like a spray course that you take.
Where's that?
It was through, when we went, it was called Ridgetown College of Agricultural Technology, but I believe now it's under the University of Guelph umbrella.
So I read that there's 7 generations that have created what you are standing on right now. Is this the same land?
No. So we have been all over this area, from Sharon to Newmarket, E.G., East Gwillimbury, up to Mount Albert, into here and into Port Perry. So they started farming over in the Sharon area, spread out into Newmarket. Steve's grandfather and father farmed the land in Newmarket on Yonge Street, where the Walmart is, just north of the Upper Canada Mall.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so they farmed there from the late 1800s to mid 1980s. 1987, I think, is when they sold, and I think we were off the land probably by 95-ish, 94, 95, I think we were off that land.
And then you came here? Or
No. So they moved to Mount Albert from Newmarket. So his dad has a farm just on the town line here, Durham 30.
Farm.
Yep, York-Durham town line on Durham 30. And then we bought here in 93.
Okay.
So we've been here for 30 years. It was 30 years in April.
Wow, long time.
So, and then his brother bought up in Port Perry. So there's lots of Coopers farming around. But for us, it has been a culmination of all the years, and then now we're here. My son actually has a farm up in Pefferlaw. He's the 7th generation farmer.
That's amazing. Let's go meet Steve. Your corn is sold just CSA and farm, or do you put it out to a larger place?
No, we don't.
We don't do any wholesaling.
No? Okay.
That was a focus we took a long time ago, that everything we do, we'll do direct.
Direct to market.
Wholesale is a whole other ball game of chasing, billing,
I do not envy the farmers who
collection.
are wholesale vegetable farmers.
You're making nothing.
Well, I know lots of guys that are doing it and do it well, but they focus on that, and that's what they do, right? Otherwise,
Okay.
our stores wouldn't have food in them. There has to be somebody supplying them.
That's true.
Yeah.
Right? We need good farmers supplying those stores.
True.
But some of it chosen close to the city where we can do it direct, and it fits us better. I think that's the easiest way to say it.
And yeah, I think it fits you. It fits the customer too. Like, people like to know this came right from the farm, that local, sustainable food source. We're seeking that, and the newer generation is seeking it more.
And it's, the biggest and most important thing to us is that this farm, if our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren want it, it will be here in 100 years. So there'll be that many more generations.
And you just nailed sustainability, haven't
Cooper
you?
Well,
farms.
right. Like that sustainability piece has to include like a good business side of it too.
Yeah.
You can't just work your guts out all day and then hope there's enough left that the next generation wants to take over. They got to make something.
Yeah,
That's
you
very
have to have a
true.
viable business. That's part of sustainability. Yeah, ready-made meals. We do stuff like
Oh, look at this.
we do stuff like braised brisket,
Oh, nice.
shepherd's pie, pulled pork.
Now, does this go in the CSA?
It does, yep. If people want to order it, there's pulled beef, and we have sweet and sour meatballs, and we also do asparagus mac and cheese.
Oh.
And then our Farmtastic mac and cheese, which the asparagus mac and cheese obviously has asparagus in it. The Farmtastic mac and cheese has bits of sausage in it.
So is the asparagus from your farm?
Yes. Yep. And the purpose of all of these products is to utilize anything that doesn't get picked up by the customers as much as the next item. So, for instance, the pulled beef. We get the roasts cut out in big, huge sections, but that particular area of the cow doesn't have as much uptake in the CSA as the prime cut area.
Sure, of course.
So there's always going to be a little extra stuff left over.
That's a good idea.
And so we need it. You can't just sit on 150 pounds of ground beef for months and months and months. It has to have a purpose. It can't sit there. It's not good for it. We want to turn over. So we decided to start offering really nice meals for people. Like these things, and these things are, there's no preservatives. There's no fake stuff in it. It's real made food, which is really important to us. And in fact, our pies, we actually render all our own lard to make the pastry. Yes.
Wow, I've done that once, and that was a lot of work.
It is a lot of work,
delicious.
but it makes the crusts.
Oh, of course, there's crackling in it.
Oh, yeah.
We just saw a lot on this farm. There's so much going on. Karen is an employee. She works the farm store, it looks like. We'd like to thank Lisa and Steve for bringing us on this farm. It's busy. We don't want to take up any more of their time. Until later, keep cooking. And we're back. I hope you enjoyed that tour. Lisa showed us everything there was to see on that farm, and there was so much. I don't even think we got to it all. Now, here's the funny thing. Every time we go into a farm tour, there's always somebody who knows a lot about the farm, always somebody who will just stay in the background and say, oh, no, I don't want to be on camera. And then they know so much that they start interjecting more and more. And Steve was one of those. He had so much to tell us about the farm, but he was doing it from a distance, and we eventually got him in with a mic, and you saw he knows a lot about the farm tour. So we now have the brisket in the oven. I've cleaned up my kitchen. I've put some potatoes on to do some garlic mash to go with this delicious brisket. And now we've taken the first one. So we had 2 cuts from one brisket. I cooked it earlier today so that I would be able to show you how to cut it. We have the second one in the oven. That will be done in 4.5 hours. We tested the temperature, and the temperature of the one we cooked came to 200, and that means it's ready to cut. So we're going to bring it over. And you can see that we had put some carrots in it, and that was after the 2.5 hours. And you can see the brisket is a little bit smaller than the one that we just braised and put in the oven. So we're going to take this out. We have a delicious au jus behind that we are going to turn into a gravy. Let's put this down on the board. We'll remove that so that we can make that in a little bit. And we're going to now look, yes, this is a smaller one, but you're going to see that this one will show you what I mean by cutting on the grain as opposed to against the grain. Now, you don't want to cut with the grain. You want to cut against it. You're going to get a more tender, you're going to get a pull-apart beef. So if we cut this way, we would cut with the grain. We're going to turn it, and you'll see. We're going to cut it against the grain. Now, there's still the fat on the top, and I'm keeping that on because that's going to let it get plated, and it's going to keep its moistness. So we have these delicious pieces, and it is so tender. We're going to plate these pieces. There's so much juice in this. Now, this would serve at least 6 people. All right, we're going to put that across the plate. Make sure that we don't lose any of the juice or the onions. We're going to bring it back, and we're going to just drizzle some of the juice on it. I could serve it just like this rich broth that it is. And we're going to take some of the carrots that we had put in at the 2.5 hour mark, place that around the edge. So for this, I added 2 carrots in, diced in chunks. You can see that. There we go. Braised brisket in a slow and low method. Put this on a a bed of mashed potatoes. You could put it on rice with just some roasted vegetables would be delicious. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you to Lisa and Steve Cooper who took us on that great farm tour. Until next time, keep cooking.